What if the people you've lost are closer to you right now than you think? What if death didn't take them away from you? It just changed the way they love you. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share might completely transform the way you grieve, the way you pray, and the way you understand the invisible world surrounding you every single day. There's a question that shows up in the quiet moments, in the middle of the night, when the house is still, or in the middle of a crowded room, when grief catches you off guard. It's the question nobody talks about enough, but almost everyone who has lost someone they love has asked it at least once. Do they still know I'm here? Do they still think about me? Does everything we shared just disappear? If you've ever sat with that question, I want you to know you're not alone. And more importantly, I want you to know that the Catholic faith has an answer. Not a vague, poetic answer designed to make you feel better temporarily, but a doctrinal, theologically grounded answer that has brought comfort to believers for over 2,000 years. And once you really understand it, not just as a concept but as a living reality, it will change something in you permanently. The teaching is called the Communion of Saints. And before you think this is just another piece of religious vocabulary that sounds important but doesn't connect to real life, let me tell you exactly what it means and why it matters to you today. The Communion of Saints is the Church's way of saying that the bond of love between believers is not severed by death, not weakened, not interrupted, transformed. The people you love who have passed on, your mother, your father, your child, your closest friend, if they died in the grace of God, they are not gone. They are glorified. They are more fully alive than they have ever been. And in that state of fullness, their capacity to love you has not diminished. It has been purified of every selfish limitation, every distraction, every fear that kept their love small here on earth. What you get from them now is love in its most concentrated, most powerful, most undiluted form. Think about what that actually means. The person who prayed for you while they were alive, who lit candles for you, who worried about you, who called out your name to God in their private moments. That person is now standing in the direct presence of the source of all grace. They're not limited anymore by tired bodies or clouded minds, or the inability to see the full picture. From where they stand now, they can see your life with a clarity that you yourself don't have access to. They see the struggles you're going through. They see the dangers ahead of you. They see what you need far better than you do. And they are actively interceding, not passively observing. Not hoping for the best from a distance, but actively and specifically presenting your needs before the throne of God with all the love they always had for you, and so much more. Padre Pio, one of the most beloved mystics in modern Catholic history, made a promise to his spiritual children that has been repeated and treasured ever since. He told them that he would do far more for them after his death than he had ever been able to do while still living in his body. That promise wasn't poetic exaggeration. It was a theological statement. He understood that on the other side of death, his intercession would become more powerful, not less, because he would be interceding from within the presence of God himself. And countless people who have prayed to Padre Pio after his passing, people in desperate situations, in medical crises, in moments of complete hopelessness, have reported experiences that defy ordinary explanation. Not because Padre Pio has any power of his own, but because he is immersed in the one who has all power, and his love for his spiritual children never stopped. This is the same principle that applies to everyone who is now with God. They don't protect us through their own strength. They protect us because they are submerged in the source of all strength, divine mercy itself. Saint Faustina, whose revelations about God's mercy have touched millions of people around the world, described heaven not as a place of passive rest, but as a state of complete charity in motion. The souls who have reached the light are not idle. They are in full communion with God's will, and God's will is always oriented toward our salvation, our healing, our ultimate flourishing. So, when those souls intercede for us, they are asking for exactly what we need, not necessarily what we want, but what we truly need, for our journey toward God, and those intercessions have a way of showing up in your life in ways you might not immediately recognize. Have you ever been in the middle of an overwhelming situation, financially, emotionally, relationally, and suddenly felt a wave of peace that had no rational explanation? That wasn't coincidence. Have you ever made a decision at the last moment, almost instinctively, that later turned out to have protected you from something serious? Have you ever thought of someone you've lost and felt, for just a moment, that they were somehow near? These aren't tricks of the mind. These are the reflections of an invisible protection being exercised over your life by people who love you and who now possess the capacity to channel that love directly through divine grace. The veil between this world and the next is thinner than we think. And on the other side of it, people who love you are actively pulling strings on your behalf, not through magic, not through superstition, but through the most legitimate and powerful channel in existence, prayer united with the will of God. Now, there is something you can do on your end of that relationship, because the communion of saints is not a one-way street. When you pray, when you sit in silence and deliberately lift your thoughts towards someone you've lost, when you talk to them the way you would have talked to them before, when you ask them to intercede for you or for someone you love, you are not engaging in something superstitious or misguided. You are strengthening a spiritual bond that death was never able to break. You are participating in the same communion that the Church has always understood to be real and operative. And in those moments of prayer, something happens. Not always in a dramatic or immediately visible way, but something is activated that wasn't active before. Grace moves. Protection deepens. And the loneliness of grief, that particular ache of missing someone so specifically, begins to transform not into forgetting, but into a different kind of closeness. So if you are carrying grief today, if there's someone whose absence still feels like a wound that hasn't fully healed, I want to offer you this. Don't let your longing for them become only sadness. Let it become prayer. Let it become gratitude. Thank God for the time you had with them, and then speak to them directly with the confidence of someone who knows that the relationship didn't end. It just moved into a different dimension. Tell them what you need. Ask them to intercede. Trust that they hear you, that they love you, and that from where they stand right now, they are fighting for you in ways you can't fully see yet. You are not without defenders. You are not navigating this life alone. From the kingdom of heaven, the people who loved you best are cheering for your victory, waiting for the reunion that is coming, and standing before the throne of Jesus and Mary on your behalf every single day. If this message touched something in you today, I'd love for you to do one thing right now. Drop the name of someone you've lost in the comments below. It doesn't need to be a long message, just their name, because this entire community at Living Hope will pray for that soul together, and I believe there is real power in that. None of us grieves alone here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Every week, we go deeper into the truths that sustain faith when life gets hard. We'll see you in the next one.